Hello everyone, little bit of a different video for you today. Now anyone who follows my late night live streams will know that I'm a member of the Elite Racing League, and the owner of that league, whose PSN name is on screen right now, is a little bit of a, shall we say, gaming geek, and this is his latest room tour. Now if anybody would like to join the Elite Racing League, bear in mind this is an American league, so there's a 5-hour time difference between America and the UK, then please send Joseph a message on the PlayStation. And no offence, but at the moment we're very down on C-class quality drivers. So if you think you can fit the bill, send Joseph a message and you will be tested to see if you're suitable for the Elite Racing League. Okay then, here's the room tour updated for 2018.
Okay, so this is my 2018 tour of my game room for my friend Dave for his YouTube channel. So first off, this is the dog, Checkers. He's just sitting outside of the room. He'll probably follow me in. So what I'll do is I will start by doing a quick scan of the room. Kind of see the general layout. Come on in, Checkers. Checkers, come on. Come on. Okay, so I'll start over here in this corner then. So this is my PS4 collection of games. Pretty standard stuff, nothing too special. Then you come down to my PS3 collection. 3 copies of F1 2010. Come down a little bit further. And that's the rest of the PS3 games. Now we have the GameCube games. I don't have too many of these because they're pretty expensive to collect. They still go for a pretty good price. Then begins my PS2 section, which is basically these 3 rows on camera now. I don't collect these games too often, but they're so cheap that, you know, when I do, I end up getting a few. Plus, a lot of these have been given to me by various people who no longer want them. So, I should mention, a lot of the stuff in the game room comes from other people no longer wanting the stuff. So, instead of just donating it or throwing it out, they give it to me for the game room. This is my PS1 collection. Probably my favorite system to collect games for. I have quite a few of them, and most of the ones that I would want I do have in this collection, so there isn't too many PS1 games that I don't have that I would actually want to own. A lot of the blank looking cases, those are just duplicates or sports games. And yes, everything is in alphabetical order. So, on to my Sega Saturn and Dreamcast shelf here, of sorts. You got all the larger box games for the Sega Saturn, CD, and the PlayStation that don't fit on the normal shelf. I really like these boxes. I think they look really cool, but they don't fit on anything, so. These are some Sega Saturn games in here. Unfortunately, some of them don't have labels. Some Dreamcast games. These are the only Dreamcast games I own that have, you know, labels and manuals, potentially. I do have quite a few Dreamcast games, but I'll get to that in a sec. These are some loose Sega Saturn games in here as well. And those are some boxed Sonic games. I have quite a few of those, but these are the nicest looking boxes and cartridges, so I put those up there for display. Over here you got this shelf with some Game Boy games. You got some Pokemon games up there that are pretty valuable. 2 brand new in the box classic Nintendos. Those are wrapped in saran wrap just to keep them from getting dusty, but they're 100% never been opened. Boxed N64 games. My most valuable Nintendo 64. It's probably worth $150, so I put it up there for display. Racing game I used to play when I was a kid. Super Monaco GP. I should also mention all of the boxes, these PS3 boxes, these steering wheel, Wii, Switch, PS4, PS3 boxes up there. They're all empty, but I do like to collect the console boxes. It's nice to have, and it does add to the value of the system down the road. Up here is another set of N64 boxes. These are probably my favorite boxes, or box art. So I put them up there on the shelf with these controllers. These controllers used to be in storage, but I decided to take them out of storage and make some sort of little display out of them. They don't take up a whole lot of space, and I think it looks kind of cool. And you come over here, we have some Sega Master System games right here. I don't have many, just a few. Some Sega Genesis, a couple of random Nintendo games, Wii, Xbox 360, and the original Xbox. Now down here, I should say I'm not a big fan of the Xbox consoles, so that's why there isn't many games, and I didn't spend too much time discussing them. But down here is my Dreamcast games. Unfortunately, when I received the Dreamcast, none of the games had labels or manuals, but there was quite a few of them. And if you can tell, there's at least 100 of them down there. They're all in alphabetical order, but without labels, it is kind of difficult to figure out which game you're looking for sometimes. But nonetheless, quite a few of them. Some loose Atari games. I just got an Atari for the first time, and I don't really have a space for these cartridges just yet, but hopefully I can figure something out soon enough. On this shelf, we have my Switch games. It's kind of like a Nintendo area up here. You get your Super Nintendo games that I want to display, some NES games to display, some Super Nintendo games, and then some loose Nintendo 64 duplicate games. So these are all actually really nice games, like Mario's and stuff like that, but they are loose. They don't have labels on the spine either. See, the ones with the labels are my best copy of that particular game. The ones that don't have the labels, they're usually duplicates. But my nicest ones I put up front here. Or at least, maybe I shouldn't say nicest, but my favorite ones. And so my most valuable one is this Harvest Moon that I have inside the little plastic case that you can see. Down here is my portable collection. We got some Game Boys in the back, Game Boy Colors, Game Boy camera back there, if you can see it, the white thing. 2 original Game Boys, the black one and the white one. Sega Game Gear. 2 Game Boy Advances, some Nintendo DS's, some Game Boy SPs that were donated from a friend of mine. His name's Dominic. He donated all of them except for this black one. Donated the blue, the silver, and the red. 2 PSPs, one missing a screen that I will fix, and some boxes here. My wife had most of these Nintendo 64 boxes when she was growing up, even some of the ones up there. So she also had this Game Boy Color box, which it's nice that she kept all those things so that I could add it to my collection down the road. So, next shelf is my kind of Sega area. I got bunch of Sega Genesis of all sorts, the Model 1, Model 2, Model 3, and then I have the Sega CD and the Sega 32X. Sonic & Knuckles is sitting on top, and a Virtua Racing is sitting on top of the Sega Genesis 3. And down here you have your loose Sega Genesis games. There's a bunch of games in here. A lot of them are behind this row. I just don't have a place to put them. You can see how deep the shelves are. Well, that goes back for the games. We have some PS1s. Almost all of these were donated to me. Just given to me by people who didn't want them anymore. The one on top is my original PS1, but the rest of them were all given to me. PS3, 2 PS2 Slims, 2 larger PS2s. We have 3 Xbox Ones, an Xbox 360. I'm not a big fan of the Xboxes, so I'll just progress along through those. 2 Sega Saturns, Nintendo 64s, Super Nintendos, a GameCube. These are the 2 Nintendo classics that I play. That's a PlayStation TV, and then a little computer that plays emulators. These are all plugged in and ready to go whenever I want to use them. And up here we have my steering wheels, some ones from when I was growing up. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 stuff, Xbox 360 wheels. And we have some pedals for my racing stuff. These are brand new, they haven't been used. They're just kind of there for when I need them. The boxes for the Nintendo Classics. These are empty boxes, by the way, because they belong to these. PS1, playing Metal Gear Solid. I don't normally leave this on, obviously, but for display purposes, for this video, I turned it on. Nintendo, my Atari, and my Sega Master System. Oh, and my desktop computer, which is a Dell XPS. Very nice computer. Little speaker down there, too. Dog. This TV is a 4K Hisense TV that I use for a computer monitor, gaming television, and... oh yeah, I guess that's about it. PlayStation 1 and a Sega Saturn. These are both hooked up. This PlayStation 1 will play burnt PlayStation 1 games, that's why it's here. This Sega Saturn is just a default Sega Saturn that I use. I keep my controllers in a little bin under there, all neatly tucked away. Inside of this area here, you have all my HDMI switches, converters, and everything. It looks like an absolute mess. It's actually not quite as bad as it looks, but when you have this many things all plugged in, coming from all different directions, it's going to look a little bit like this, no matter what you do. I assure you it's not a safety hazard. Everything's set up through switches, and not only one thing is on at a time. So this is one of the switches that I use. It breaks all the systems down through this AV switcher. Come down here. We have my stereo, very old, probably from the mid-90s, if I had to take a guess. I got it at a thrift store. Works fine for my application here. We got a GameCube with a Game Boy player, which is really cool. So you can play your Game Boy games on the TV. Super Nintendo. Sega Saturn with a cartridge in it. And the reason I have two Sega Saturns hooked up is because this one will play burnt Sega Saturn games, because they're very expensive to collect. So if I want to play a really expensive game, I can download it. This one over here is just a stock system for all my games that I actually own. Sega Genesis, Sega Dreamcast, Nintendo 64, Xbox 360, PS2, my Wii. This PS3 will play PS2 games in HD, and I got this at GameStop for a really good price. This PS3 I used to use for when friends would come over to race in my league or online, and we needed a second PS3. I didn't spend much on this. It was around the time where they were basically, you know, everyone was just kind of getting rid of them for newer systems, so I was able to get it really cheap. This is the PS3 that I use whenever I want to play PS3 games or PS1 games, so this is kind of like my main PS3. And that's what's running this Daytona USA to both TVs right now. Nintendo Switch, which my wife plays a lot. Really cool machine. My PS4 Pro, which I just upgraded to a couple months ago. I sold the PlayStation 4 that I used here, and I got this one on sale. Ended up not spending a whole lot of money to upgrade, which was nice. This is a 4K Samsung TV that I use for my racing seat, and I'll show that in a sec. Some steering wheels. This steering wheel is the first steering wheel I ever used, the Sega Saturn one. It's a very steering wheel. Most of the buttons should be just about rubbed off, because this wheel does not have pedals, so you had to use the buttons. Some posters. Sonic, Super Monaco GP, Mario Kart. Got Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid. Now for my racing seat. So the racing seat itself is from a 2000 Pontiac Grand Prix. The structure that it sits on, I built myself. It's made out of white PVC pipe that I painted black. It's kind of hard to see. I don't have a flashlight in here at the moment, but basically the piping runs underneath this table that I made. These are just some power strips for all the things that need to be plugged in this corner of the room. And there's the pedals for my racing seat. Those are Logitech G29 pedals. And this adapter that you can see there looks like a phone jack, plugs into my Thrustmaster wheel, because I actually do prefer the Logitech pedals with the Thrustmaster wheel. Thrustmaster shifter, little tablet for telemetry. Logitech G29 steering wheel. I use this for old PS3 games that don't support this wheel. And you can see my labels for F1 2017, the game that I use for my league. Take a step back so you can get a better view of what it looks like. It's pretty comfortable and it's good for long races. You can sit in here for quite a few hours without any sort of fatigue or back pain. And this door leads to the rest of my house, kitchen, living room. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole game room here. Oh, my couch. It's an old couch. I had to get rid of it. There was actually extra sections, but I needed it to fit in this space, so I did not attach those. Old dog sleeping. Checkers? No, not going to respond. No, a little bit of a response. Something. So yeah, that's my game room tour for 2018. So thank you for watching, and I hope you, I hope you kind of enjoyed looking at my stuff. So thank you.